Hello YouTube, Salivate Metal here, showing you a 1-ounce silver panda from the year 2005. And upon first glance of this piece, it looks genuine. It's been around a while, you know, it's there, it's 2005, pretty attractive piece. But after a while, it gets exposed. When compared to the real thing, you can see the difference. And this is an example of what we have seen with Frank P. Numismetals. And it is quite unfortunate and sad because he had been around for so long and was a liked member of the community. The community chipped in, as you know, myself included, to assist him with a nice kilo silver bar that Mr. Zeke had poured and stamped all of our names on. And he did a great job with that. That's a very difficult job to do. And many of us had traded with him. I have not traded. I don't trade, and I'll talk about that here after a bit. But it appeared that he was a stand-up guy that had some mental problems, admitted. In fact, he was went out of his way to talk about those and open himself up, and we had a lot of pity for him. And turns out that's one of the traits that should be a sign for some people, and a lot of us kind of fell for it as far as his demeanor and what he went through. You know, we tend to look at the good in people and try to sympathize with people and take them for their word for the most part. And I don't want this video to be where you don't do that, because we can't be skeptics all the time. But however, in this case, you know, you've got to look at the red flags, and you've got to have that street savvy, that street sense, and be able to recognize signs, red flags, and the like. And I began to see those in Frank, but didn't think it was this bad and to this level. And you know, it's become one of those things where, after seeing all the videos come out, that he has sociopathic tendencies. And we have to thank one person, I think, that really started this ball rolling, in my view. And that is a gentleman by the name of Crown Collector. He had posted in Metals Mafia. And there was no responses when he emailed me about it. And he had contacted people privately, tried to handle this privately, and sent me a message. And I don't do trades, and I believed his original post. I just couldn't verify it because I didn't know who he was, so it wasn't my place to get involved, considering it was one word against one person against a member of the community who I had really no real evidence or reason to believe that it could have happened, but I suspected that it could have, and so I believed him, but it wasn't my place. And I just had to sympathize with him and ask him to try to get his coins back through other members who were close to Frank in the community. With that being said, after that post, we saw some replies. I watched the thread in Metals Mafia and saw that other people were starting to come forward there. And then I started seeing some of the videos come out. Silver Wolverine posted, and others. And it's quite unfortunate to see the number of people that are coming forward now and didn't before, and understand why they didn't, because he was such a large personality here in the community, and they didn't think maybe. I think maybe part of them thought, well, maybe he's just going through a rough time, and they wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. But then when other people started coming forward, it grew and has become what it is now. And to be honest with you, this video was going to have a different purpose, and each time I saw a new video, I realized, you know what? There's nothing that Frank has said before that anybody can believe as far as, you know, his plight, and so to speak. It appears that he does have sociopathic tendencies, and he has gone out of his way to literally scam the community. You know, he railed against Silvernut FL over a giveaway that he reneged on, when he himself did the exact same thing, but much, much worse. and it is too bad. And people, I'm reading comments just before I posted this video about folks who have are saying, Frank, just give back what you owe to the community. You know, send that bar back to Mr. Zeke. Send all the other pieces back. The Crown Collector is out $300+ in a trade. You're not going to see that stuff. He's sold them probably. It's all gone. You know, some theorize that perhaps he is a drug addict, and anything wouldn't surprise me at this point. Whatever the case, he is low enough, unfortunately, to have scammed anybody who will come, agree to send him money or send him silver and the like, including a young college student. And it's just too bad where things are going in the community with this type of thing, because who can you trust? This is an established member of the community. So I've come up with 5 different tips, and I'm sure there's probably more, and if you have any more, feel free to post them in the comments below in the video. Before I do that, we know now that Frank has come up with different usernames to attempt to scam and to troll the community, and it's too bad. But be very careful, and don't assume that every new account is him. I had a gentleman email me saying as such, and that he is not Frank P, and even provided me with some information that I know is not the case, and he's, you know, so just don't, be very careful. You don't want to impugn judgment on folks that are just coming into the community, because, you know, we are a tight-knit community here in the precious metals arena on YouTube, and we want to be a welcoming community. But so just be careful, and don't accuse everyone who has a maybe a YouTube account that doesn't have a profile picture. Just watch what they say. You know, look at the comment in itself, and don't automatically assume that it's Frank P or someone out to scam. With that being said, the first tip in a trade is to trade with those of you who you know and trust, preferably in your local area. Or if you can do it, where you literally physically go and meet them and do it. You know, just like with any Craigslist listing, you know, you want to be very safe. But if you know the person, well, those are going to be your best ways to trade. If you really, literally know them person to person, that's actually the best way, and where most of the trading should occur, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about shipping. It's just the cost of gas to go and meet that person. I think that's the best way to do it. And if I ever do trade, that's the way I do it. I don't trade, just so you know, for the reasons that we're seeing now come out, but also several other reasons. And it's just not me. And so I've never been scammed by Frank, because, and I'm sure I've been asked, I know I've been asked if I wanted to trade by several accounts, and they could have been him, but I don't want to pass judgment because I've turned them all down. Number 2 is we need some sort of a vetting system. And right now, the best vetting system that we have in place is by Pit Bullion, and that's metalsmafia.com. You know, there's and it's proven itself, and I remember being approached by Pit Bullion a while ago to see if I wanted to join. And since I don't do trades, and that's the primary reason for it, you know, I turned down the offer. But for those who do trades, and if I was going to do trades, I would certainly sign up and take part in it. But it's a great place where people can sell and trade their poured silver and other products, and they can also interact. It's definitely a well laid out forum, and there's a feedback system there for trades. However, as Shadowstack mentioned in his video, which I encourage you all to check out, because it talks about these fake accounts that Frank had set up, and we've seen proof on his video, is that in any of these new, he could just create a new username and come in and sign up at metalsmafia.com as well, and make a trade. So just be very wary. And so if you do feel enticed to trade with a new account, well, you're an established member, and maybe somehow within the Metals Mafia feedback system, you can be marked as such, and so that people understand when they make trades that it is up to the new members to prove their worth first. So they prove their trust first by making the first action, by sending the items first, and awaiting with the trusted members of the community. There's got to be some type of system like that, and there very well may be there at Metals Mafia. I don't do trades there, so I don't know, but I know that there is a feedback system that does provide some level of protection, which is really good. In either event, anytime you trade, this is number 3, anytime you trade on the internet, don't ever use your home address or real name. And I know that's, and it sounds for some people kind of extreme or whatever, but I think that's just the best and safest way to protect yourself. Find a different alias, find another address, whether it be a P.O. box or what have you, or to somebody's place that they know they're well protected or whatever. But that's typically the best way just to protect yourself, because, and be careful, because Frank has some of your personal addresses, is my guess. And if you're speaking out and exposing him, just be very careful. And I hate to say this, but it's got to be something to think about. Be secure. And by that, I mean be well armed and be prepared in the event that the unthinkable were to happen in your community, especially if you live in Florida and have made trades with them and are exposing and what have you. If you are home, if you are not home, get a home security system, something that is foolproof, or what have you. If you store your metals at home, or even if you don't store your metals at home, there could be retribution that you don't want to happen or see. So you want to make sure that whatever happens is caught. But and I hate to say this, but you've got to be protected, especially if you've interacted with him. And at this point, I don't put anything past him and what he could do or would do. So be well armed and be prepared and be ready. The fourth thing is another level of protection. Anytime you make a trade, assume that some losses if you're making a first trade with whoever, for whatever reason, even if it's somebody you know in the YouTube community, unless it's somebody that you trust and you've traded with in the past. But if you're making a first trade, start out small, so that if you do take a loss, well, it's just an ounce or a half ounce or a silver quarter or what have you. That's the best way, and then that way you vetted that person. And if you're doing it through Metals Mafia, then you can give them that bad feedback, and it can be vetted. Have proof, though. Have emails and the like, because I think that's one thing that Michael Pit Bullion requires, is that, in order for this to really work, it's got to be true, and there's no defamation or libel or anything of that sort unnecessarily or unknowingly, because some people will just go out and say things just to stir the pot, so to speak. So that way, if you do get burned on a deal, you have some protections there, and you're not out a whole lot. And again, I feel bad for those who have really put themselves out there. We know Frank P. has walked away with well over $1,500 worth of goods and silver and precious metals from this community, and I think Instagram and others, and it's very unfortunate. You can write all that stuff off. No one's getting it back. There's no way. Frank P., as we knew him, is long gone, will never return, and it's just a very sad thing. So those are the 4 tips that I can think of here, and thinking about this over the last couple of days, and only am now able to actually take the time to make this video. Just be very wary and be very careful out there. Learn to discern between the genuine and the fake and the fraudulent portions, because there is a lot of that, unfortunately. And in this community, in a community that's built on kindness, trust, and goodwill, and it's amazing, and it's kind of ironic, because we talk about hoarding or accumulating our precious metals, and people think of that as greed. We're just holding on to precious, but there's a lot of giving in this community, and it's really amazing. There's no way I could outgive the kindness that has been shown to me by many members of this community. And Frank is just an unfortunate and sad, it really is a sad situation, a casualty of that, because by and large, this is a great community, and it's easy to put your guard down because there's so many good people here. We don't want to offend, by that, we don't want to truly offend good people here. And that's why I want to reiterate again, is don't assume every new account is suspicious. Don't cast blame, because it could be a new stacker that's coming in that's wanting to get into the fold. And we want to spread the message, the gospel of precious metal, so to speak. I don't mean that in a sacrilegious sense, but the more people who hold these precious metals, the better off it will be, because when people see true value in what they are, then it means that if there is a next phase with a currency devaluation and like, that more people are prepared, and that makes for better neighbors in the community, not just here on YouTube, but around the country and around the world. And so there you have it. I hope this helped. Feel free to post your thoughts below. And again, my condolences to everyone who has been a victim of Frank P. Numismetals. And just hang in there, and we will get through this. And I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to y'all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.